All right, what's going on, y'all? So just the other day, I released a video on the best countries to test and target with Facebook ads for Shopify dropshipping. And this can have a very, very profound effect on your success with Shopify or your lack thereof. And I actually got quite a few comments asking if I could do a video on the countries you should absolutely avoid. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. I'm gonna give you 7 countries that you should absolutely avoid when testing your products with Facebook ads. And even moving on from there, the ones you should just absolutely stay away from. So I'm gonna give you 7 of the countries that I never test with, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you don't as well. But before we get into it, if you guys could do me a huge favor, smash that like button down below, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here to help you guys create and grow your own businesses so you can have that freedom lifestyle you desire. Leave a comment down below. Do you want me to do a video discussing worldwide targeting versus individual country targeting? I've been getting a couple comments on this, and if y'all leave a comment down below, there's enough interest, I'll definitely do a video on why and when you should do worldwide targeting and why and when you should do individual country targeting. All right, so let's get right on into the list of 7 countries you should absolutely avoid when doing Shopify dropshipping. So first off, I want to preface this list with there's going to be instances when you actually do want to test some of these countries. Some of these countries you want to absolutely stay away from all the time. Never go there. But if you watched my video about the best countries to target, you will have heard me discuss having a round 1, a round 2, and a round 3 set up, a round 1, 2, and 3 list of countries that you want to target. Some of these countries actually might make it into your round 3. You might still want to go ahead and test some of these countries, and some of the countries I'm about to mention, I actually have profitable ads running in those countries right now for some of those products, but I did not start testing in those countries. And so that's the big thing to keep in mind, and I'll go ahead and I'll let you know as we go through the list which one of those countries are. So number 1, the number 1 country you should absolutely avoid when testing your products with Facebook ads is India. And so this shouldn't come to much of a surprise to any of you out there. There's a lot of videos out there talking about why not to target in India. Essentially what it comes down to is it's just bad traffic. You'll get really, really cheap clicks and you will get a lot of traffic, and that's why I often have beginners coming to me and they're like, I'm getting a ton of traffic when I target to India, I'm just not getting sales. And that's because it is cheap traffic, but it's not very well targeted traffic. A lot of times what happens when targeting in India is you'll get a lot of clicks. It's easy to get those clicks, but not many people want to buy. So you might still get some sales, but your conversion rate's probably gonna be a lot higher. The big point here is it's cheap traffic, not very good traffic, not the type of traffic that you actually want. Now, I wanna preface this that I do have some ads running in India. I just don't start testing the products in India. But India is still part of my round 3 list of countries to target. I do have some products, they typically are on the cheaper end, but I do have some products that do still work in India. It's never one of my best countries at all, even with the cheap products, but I do have profitable ads running in India. But you should absolutely avoid it in the beginning and don't start testing there. But you might want to go ahead and test it in your round 3 list of countries. All right, so number 2, the second most country that you need to avoid, especially in the beginning, is Indonesia. Now, Indonesia, I'm gonna recommend that you just avoid Indonesia completely. I don't even have Indonesia in my round 3 list of countries to target. I never target Indonesia, and the reason is it has an incredibly high fraud rate. Yes, you might get some sales with Indonesia, and you might get even higher than average order value sales coming from Indonesia, but the big thing is a lot of times it's a lot of fraud. You're gonna have a lot of chargebacks, a lot of disputes, just everything you don't wanna have to deal with. And that's the biggest reason. There's a ton of fraud coming out of Indonesia. All right, so number 3 country you want to avoid in the very beginning is China. And China actually has a couple reasons why. One is that you're gonna a lot of times have cheaper traffic. 2, you've got Alibaba and AliExpress out of China. And you do have a lot of the resellers clicking through, just checking out your site. A lot of times what happens is this is gonna cause higher cost per conversions if you get conversions at all out of China. Now with China, I always have China in my round 3 list of countries. For some products, I still run ads in China and they're still profitable. But all in all, most Chinese people know that they can find most products, or at least similar products, on AliExpress or through Alibaba. And so typically they're not gonna buy from your American or Canadian or British, wherever you're located, company with a huge markup. They're just gonna go ahead and buy straight from AliExpress if they want that product. So that's a big reason why you wanna stay out of China, at least in the beginning. So number 3 and number 4 are actually very similar, and that's Afghanistan and Pakistan. This has to do a lot with how Indonesia is. You're gonna have a lot of fraud come out of these countries, especially in the beginning. But another reason you don't wanna go ahead and target these countries in the very beginning is for testing. These end up sending a lot of cheap traffic over as well, and you don't have a good indication on whether or not your product can be successful or not. Just like we talked about in the best countries to target and test with, you want to go ahead and choose the countries that are going to give you the best indication of actually having potential with that product. Afghanistan and Pakistan are not going to give you a good indication of that whatsoever, especially if you're trying to find Middle Eastern countries that work. There's some Middle Eastern countries that are incredible for finding out if you have potential in the Middle East. Afghanistan and Pakistan, you should stay away from. Number 6 is actually very similar to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and that's Iraq. There's just other countries that are gonna give you a better indication of whether your product has potential in the Middle East than Iraq. And as well, Iraq will give you some cheaper leads. They're not gonna be as high quality clicks as you would have with some of these other great targeting countries. All right, so number 7, the number 7 country on my list that I absolutely do not test with in the beginning is Malaysia. Malaysia, just like Indonesia, has a ton of fraud. You want to stay away from Malaysia, and this is one that I don't even have in my round 3 list. I've had so much fraud come out of Malaysia that it's just not worth the headache. And when I do get good conversions over from Malaysia, even then it just doesn't make up for the headache of the amount of fraud coming out of there. So that's the list of 7 that I absolutely stay away from. There's a lot of countries very similar in region, very similar in demographics to the list I just gave you. And if it is very similar, then I would recommend having those in your round 3 list of countries at most. But keep in mind, guys, just like I talked about in the last video, you want to test every country. Unless it's just a ton of fraud like Indonesia. You want to test every country that you can to find out where your product can scale. This is the power of horizontal scaling. Everybody wants to focus on vertical scaling, especially in the big 5, and they're missing out on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of sales. That's why so many people in the Dropship Fortune program are absolutely killing it, because they know how to horizontal scale, and then they're not dealing with the competition of all the other drop shippers out there. They know how to differentiate themselves. So that's the big thing. Focus on horizontal scaling first as you're vertically scaling. But horizontal scaling is how you can go from 0 to 6 figures per month very, very, very quickly and efficiently, keeping your profit margins very, very, very high. But I hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here to help you guys. Leave a comment down below. Keep in mind that the first hour after every video is dropped, I stick around to answer every question you guys have. So leave a comment down below. I'd love to go ahead and connect with you guys. Keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.